Hi, everyone. Bev Adamo here with Wild and Wise Women, Wild and Wise Sisterhood. And I'm here to talk about something that is, of course, very near and dear to my heart. All of these subjects are. I am here to talk about our authentic voices, your authentic voice, my authentic voice. And what is that even? As some of you have seen, we're embarking on the very first Wild and Wise Women book collaborative, and I'm really excited about that because writing is a way that people can begin to find their voice. You know, we have a lot of times in different self-development or as we're practicing self-care, we learn to journal. That's one of the things that we're taught about is journaling and how that can help to express ourselves and to find ourselves and to see a lot of things that are going on in our life, but to practice our gratitude. You know, there's a lot of different ways that our journaling helps that. And so writing itself is a great way to find your authentic voice. But before we go to that, let's talk about what that really means. Because when we grow up in different societies, wherever we are, what we're usually taught is how to speak in a way that whoever surrounds us, and whether that be our parents, our other family members, our schools, our institutions, we're taught to speak in a way that's quote unquote appropriate. Have you ever heard of that? I mean, did that ever come up when you were growing up and you blurted out something which was more than likely the truth with the capital T, and yet you got told, oh, you can't say that, you know, don't say that, you can't say that. Oh my gosh, I can't even count how many times I was told what I couldn't say. I was like, well, what can I say? What can I say? Where is my voice? So we're not taught to express who we are as much as we are taught to find a voice that will fit within society. Well, I'm here because I'm passionate about every single person, not just women, every single person finding their authentic voice. So I'm here to, number one, give you permission, first of all, complete, full, absolute permission to be who you are and to find that voice that maybe was maybe a little forgotten or maybe a little, you know, covered over by all of this appropriateness. You know, God forbid that we be inappropriate at any particular time. When I talk about authenticity, when it comes to our voice, when it comes to what we say, I'm speaking about more than just speaking. So when I talk about voice, I'm talking about how we show up in our speaking, when we speak to other people, in our writing, when we write to other people, even our texting, even our, you know, short messages. How are we expressing ourselves? Is that coming from a place that's within us, our heart, or is it coming from, you know, the place where we were taught about what's okay to say and how we have to say different things? So I want to talk a moment about that. The soul questions that I have come on and talked to you about, you know, asking yourself, who am I? What do I want? And how can I serve? Those soul questions in and of themselves will lead you to a more authentic you, and as a result, a more authentic voice that you have. So think about now, not what we were taught and everything else, but now. When you show up in different situations or circumstances, do you feel like you're really showing up as yourself? Or are you showing up as what would be appropriate in the situation? How are you showing up? And when you hear yourself speak and say something, do you ever say, whoa, where did that come from? That doesn't sound like me. Now, sometimes it can be because it doesn't sound like us because it's our authentic voice and we're just getting used to that. As we start on this journey, or as we're in this journey of discovering, remembering who we are, there will be times when we surprise our authentic voice surprises us, because it's like, wow, that was really amazing. You know, who said that? Well, you said that. You said that because that's your authentic voice. So I'm inviting you to be more conscious about this, about how you show up, who you show up as, and what you say in different situations. I believe that there are some times when we want to, okay, let me start over. I would invite you to be as conscious as possible all the time, so that when you go into any situation, you allow yourself, you give yourself permission to be who you are. Now, that doesn't mean you're always going to say every single thing that pops into your head. It doesn't. That's not necessarily being authentic, where you have no filters, and everything just comes out in a blurt, unless you happen to be, Esther Hicks or Abraham coming through, or any of that kind of thing. Or like when I do my channeling, there are no filters there, because it's straight from source, straight from spirit. So becoming conscious about what's coming through us and how we're speaking, and maybe where it's coming from. Is this a message that we can feel in our heart is authentic and pure love? Because I tell you what, when you're in your authentic voice and you're speaking from a place of unconditional love, without expectations, without judgment, oh my gosh, you can say anything and people will be able to hear you. That's been my experience as I've gone through these years of communicating. I mean, I started speaking when I was, 10 or 11. And it wasn't that my mom took me to a speech contest that I was in for an organization there. And it was amazing. And I won the contest. It was extraordinary. And I remember that. And what it felt like, though, it wasn't that I was speaking my truth. It wasn't that I was being authentic. It was that I got up there, I could sense, even at that young age, what people wanted to hear. And a lot of us who are empathic and sensitive and all of that, we know exactly what other people want to hear. We know where they are. We know what'll feel good to them. We're excellent chameleons, all of that, yet not really ourselves. So when I got up there at 10 or 11 and I spoke, it was really what I knew everybody wanted to hear. So of course I won the contest. It was great. And I look back at that now and I ask myself, who was that speaking? Well, that was the me that by 11 had gotten to be a great people pleaser. And I'm not saying that you need to throw all that out, because there are messages that you're compelled to share with people, because that's what they need to hear, because that's what they want to hear on a deeper level. They may, not quite like what you have to say up here. On a deeper level, they're going to get it. And that's why they'll listen to you, speaking in your authentic voice. So I'm not saying totally throw that out. You want to be sensitive to the people around you. You want to be sensitive to how you're communicating with them. And you can still be totally authentic. That's what I do, is I show up as me. I'm very conscious of the situation, and I check in with people around me. And I ask, who am I in this moment? What do I want to say? And how can I serve? Because there's likely to be something that in my authentic voice and through me that I'm going to be able to say to this person or group of people that they really do need to hear. Something that's vulnerable, something that's open, something that invites them to be their authentic self and to speak with their authentic voice. The more we learn how to do that, the more we remember who we are, and we allow ourselves to speak from that authenticity, from our heart, from that spirit-guided voice. That is being authentic. Because authenticity also has to do with being awake. It has to do with knowing why you're here, what you're here to do, and how you're here to do it. It's all about you remembering who you are. That's your journey. That's your hero's journey. Because you are the superhero that you have dreamed you are. It's not a fantasy. It's not a, oh my God, and how great that would be to actually make a difference in the world. You are here to make a difference in the world, period. So remember who you are. and find your authentic voice. And if you need some help with that, check in, add some comments, check in with Wild and Wise, ask, or tell us about your situation. Tell us about how you have, been struggling. We want to know, because that helps us to learn as well. And every time you share from your authenticity that there's a struggle going on, and we as a collective can collaborate and come together in a way that helps all of us to resolve that and to learn that and to up level that, that's fantastic. Again, vulnerability is a real key to authenticity. Being willing and able to be rigorously honest, not just rigorously honest with the people around us, to be rigorously honest to and with ourselves. Because that's what I noticed. I could be extremely honest with people around me, and yet there were things that I wanted to do and that I knew and that I wanted to say that I didn't. And so now that I'm in a place where I'm welcoming my authenticity, I'm remembering who I am, I'm knowing that when I can be who I truly am, that divine love that's expressed itself as this human being in this world and on this planet, when I come from there, from that authentic voice, again, then we're able to deliver the messages that other people want to hear, they need to hear, and that will heal the world, change the world, transform the world. That's why I'm so passionate about these different places where if you feel like you haven't found your voice yet, if you feel like you're this close from finding your voice, Wild and Wise is the place to do that. Whether it's expressing on social media and interacting with other Wild and Wise women, or whether it's participating in these collaboratives, whether they be speaking collaboratives or writing collaboratives or mastermind collaboratives, whatever's involved in that, that is another safe and especially extraordinary way to express and play with your authentic voice. Play with it. Have curiosity about it. Wonder about it. The thing about wondering that is so cool is that when we wonder, when we get curious about something, oftentimes we're able to bypass the shadow ego that's trying to protect us, and yet at the same time keeps us from doing that which we're here to do. So when we wonder about who we are, we wonder about what we want, what our heart's desires, we wonder how we can serve, then we can allow the answers to come in so that we can hear them, we can integrate them, and then we can allow our message to go out through our authentic voices. You're here for a reason. You're here on purpose. Everything you do, including getting your message out into the world, is important. And the only person in your way, the only person between you and being completely in your authenticity is you. And that's not a bad thing. That's a great thing. That's a positive thing. That's an amazing thing. Because guess what? You can get out of your own way. We can help with that. There's a lot of resources for that. But more than anything, know this. You have a voice. It's a very clear voice of truth with a capital T. You're invited and you have full permission to access your authentic voice and being on purpose. It's what you're here to do. So please, know you have an authenticity that is absolutely amazing, that it's yours because you're here to make a difference in this world, and it's time for you to do whatever you need to do to clear out all the crap and make sure that you are speaking in every circumstance through and with your authentic voice. Thank you for keeping this divine appointment as a wild and wise woman, and I look forward to talking with you soon. As always, sending love to you